Welcome to In Pursuit of Life with Dr. Caleb. If you're new to the channel, my desire is to focus on reproductive health issues that can lead to infertility and pregnancy loss and highlight possible natural solutions to those issues to help others overcome or avoid the kind of struggles that my wife and I went through on our journey to parenthood. I'm currently going through a series on the normal functions of the reproductive system that started with the HPG axis, which stands for hypothalamus pituitary gonad axis. And that's basically the communication and kind of command system that connects the brain to the gonads or the reproductive organs. So I continued that series with spermatogenesis in the last video, which focuses on the production of sperm cells, which are the male gametes, or gametes means reproductive cells. In this video, I will be discussing the normal process of oogenesis, which is the production of the female gametes. These female gametes are more commonly known as ovum or egg cells. You may also hear them called as oocytes. These egg cells are eventually released into the fallopian tubes during the menstrual cycle, and if fertilized by a sperm cell, the male gamete may continue the development process from a fertilized egg into a baby. As I said in my video on spermatogenesis, the timing of these two reproductive processes are quite different. Spermatogenesis is a process that starts in males after going through puberty, whereas oogenesis is a process that begins before the female is even born. While still in the womb, oogenesis begins in the outermost layers of the ovaries. This begins with a germ cell, also known as the oogonium or primary oocyte. That primary oocyte undergoes the process of mitosis. The germ cell is a diploid cell, meaning it has 46 chromosomes, and mitosis is the process of cellular replication. The oogonium will split into two identical cells that both contain the full 46 chromosomes of the female, which increases the total number of cells and allows for advancement of a cell to a primary oocyte without running out of germ cells. The mitosis process is also when differentiation occurs. Differentiation is when paired chromosomes swap sections of DNA material in a kind of controlled mix and match or scramble. These new mixed up chromosome pairs will separate during the meiosis process during later stages of development into unique and diverse chromosome patterns for each of the oocytes that are being developed. This differentiation occurs in both the sperm in the males and the eggs in the females, and that is what allows for such a great diversity between siblings, even when they have the same parents. As an example, my mom was one of 13 kids in her family, all from the same parents. Even though there were some similar familial traits, there was also a lot of diversity between all of my aunts and uncles. There are three main stages of oogenesis, which are the prenatal stage, the antral stage, and the preovulatory stage. In the prenatal stage, the primary oocyte grows and begins the meiosis process, but does not finish it at this stage. During this stage, the primary oocyte is contained in a small, immature ovarian follicle called the primordial follicle. The primordial follicle is surrounded by a single layer of flattened or cuboidal cells called granulosa cells. As the follicles develop, more layers of granulosa cells will be added as well. Between the granulosa cells and the follicle are also glycoproteins that form an extracellular matrix or a protective envelope called the zona pellucida. After the prenatal stage, we have the antral stage, which gets its name from the fluid-filled area in between the granulosa cells, which combines to form a centralized fluid space called the antrum. This is when a primary follicle becomes a secondary follicle. These secondary follicles also develop another layer of cells around the granulosa cells. This new layer of cells is composed of theca cells. After going through puberty, the monthly menstrual cycle will see these secondary follicles continue to develop due to the presence and interactions of the follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and the luteinizing hormone, or LH, from the pituitary gland in the brain. As I mentioned in the HPG axis video, FSH and LH are gonadotropins that travel from the pituitary gland and travel to the gonads, which will be the ovaries for the females. FSH will interact with the granulosa cells and stimulate them to grow and differentiate. FSH will also protect the granulosa cells from oxidative damage and strengthen the wall integrity of the cells while also inhibiting apoptosis or cell death. FSH also stimulates the granulosa cells to produce aromatase, which converts androgens, which are released by the theca cells, into estradiol. So estradiol is a form of estrogen, and it is the most potent and active form of estrogen during reproductive years. We will talk more about estrogen and other reproductive hormones in a later video. Now, estrogen production will increase as the follicle grows and eventually stimulate a surge of LH to be released from the pituitary. This LH surge is what prompts the pre-ovulatory stage. The pre-ovulatory stage begins due to the LH surge because this surge signals the follicle to finish the meiosis process, which is when the diploid or 46 chromosome cell splits into two haploid cells, which are 23 chromosome cells of unequal size. The larger cell continues to develop into the secondary oocyte, but the smaller one becomes the first polar body. Then these two cells undergo another form of meiosis, leading to a second polar body as well. Now, these polar bodies are essentially byproducts of the meiosis process, but they are still useful as they serve to conserve cytoplasm, enhance the viability of the egg, and prepare for fertilization. In basic terms, what it means is that the polar body takes excess or waste from the oocyte and sacrifices its good cytoplasm, organelles, and resources that will be important for supporting the egg if it becomes fertilized. After all this, the follicle finally becomes a mature follicle, also known as a graphene follicle, and this follicle will rupture and release the egg into the fallopian tubes. Now, the remnants of the follicle will form what's called the corpus luteum, which continues to produce progesterone and will basically support a potential pregnancy. If a sperm cell makes it to the egg and fertilizes it, the genetic material pairs up to create the 46 chromosome genetic blueprint for a new and unique person, and the fertilized egg goes through an extraordinary process to develop and grow into a baby. We will look more in depth at the menstrual cycle and pregnancy in the next couple videos. If you found this video informative and interesting and would like to see more of my videos as they come out, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with my videos as they are released. Until next time, may you be filled with joy and be richly blessed.